Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. We are expanding out instead of just doing poetry because there are a lot of amazing other talented people out there. Today, I have with me Miss Crimson Rose, who is so very talented and has such a huge heart. I have been lucky enough to receive a package of postcards from her, which are now hanging on my wall because it definitely brightened my day and I wanted her voice to be heard. So, everyone, Miss Crimson Rose, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me on. I'm so honored to be featured and to talk about my postcards, my project, my art. So thank you. Yeah.
Very welcome. Very honored to have you as a guest. So how long have you been doing the visual arts and what got you started?
Well, I've only been painting for about 5 years. Seriously, I'm about trying to sell my stuff. But I've always been drawn to drawing and painting since I was a child, but it was never really pushed in my family. It wasn't an appropriate choice of use of my time. So I never really drew or anything a lot until about 5 years ago. And it was a midlife crisis, essentially, a mental health issue that helped me realize that life was too short to not follow what I was passionate about and try to do something with my art.
That is very, very true. Glad that, I hate that you had that experience, but I'm glad that, you are expanding out because you are extremely talented and definitely don't want to deprive the world of your talent. So, what inspired the postcards? What got you thinking of that? Because that is an amazing project.
So I started Postcards for Positivity right around when COVID happened. Everybody got locked down into their homes. Nobody could go out. And I really wanted to share my art. And at that time, all of the vending events, all of everything, all the galleries, everyone shut down. And it was so upsetting for me because I was just, as a new artist trying to figure out how to get myself out there. And it just dawned on me one day I should make them into postcards and just start sending them out, and then more for a marketing thing. But as it grew, it kind of expanded into something more.
That is very interesting, very creative, and I love the idea to, think outside of the box and keep people, inclined to be able to participate in the art community and throughout such a difficult time for everyone. Who would you say is your biggest inspiration?
Well, I've always liked Cyndi Lauper and her music and her just her style, just getting out there, But I would have to say my biggest inspiration would be an art therapist I had when I was 14, who really kind of motivated me to use art as a way to express myself. And then, having teenage idols like Cyndi Lauper out there, just kind of doing her own thing with her style and putting herself out there. I kind of blend those two together. My youth, my teenage I feel like I was deprived, and so that's where my art comes through now, you know.
I absolutely love that. And Cyndi Lauper, yeah, she is amazing. Like, I don't think I've ever not been able to play one of her songs and want to dance and smile and, just galley around because she is so positive. And just like her energy reflects through her words and her music. So, yeah, I completely agree with that. So, outside
Yeah.
of. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was waiting for your next question.
So, outside of your artistry, who is Crimson Rose?
Well, outside of my artistry, I'm Christina. In my everyday life, I work a part-time job for a massage therapy company, and I am a mom of 2 adult man children. um, and then I've been married to my husband for 26 years this year. Actually coming up in 2 weeks, it's my anniversary. And yeah, I'm your normal everyday person outside of my art, outside of Crimson Rose. Um, but I feel like Crimson Rose is my alter ego. I kind of created her as like the outspoken, unafraid, brave persona that I put on to like, because I'm super shy, believe it or not, in my everyday life. But like when I'm talking about my art, that's when I light up. That's when I become Crimson Rose. The very outgoing, outspoken person.
I absolutely can relate to that 100%. Rainstorm is my alter ego. Stormy is timid and shy and, kind of just hunker down, and Rainstorm's loud and not in an obnoxious way, but, brave and speak out for others and for herself. So I definitely get that, and I love the Crimson Rose. How did you come up with the name?
So it's quite funny actually. I was a dancer, and that was my stage performance name. I think when I was like, 14 or 15, and you talk to all your friends, and you're always like, what would your name be if you could choose a name? And I just was, I'm like, I've always been pretty passionate. So that's where the red rose came up with. And then that was one of my very first tattoos, was a red rose. And so, I don't know, I just picked it and it stuck.
I think it's absolutely fitting, and I love that. That was very creative. So for others out there who want to paint and draw and come into their inner artistic creativities, but they have trouble, what would be your words of guidance for them?
So my words of guidance would be to just shut off your brain and open your heart to having fun from the perspective of a child. When you want to paint, it really should be about like connecting with the materials and the process. So I'm like, the rules I feel like don't apply when you're trying to create. And it should really be about having fun.
I absolutely love that. That is inspiring and makes me want to go see what I can create today. Definitely have a long way to go in that department, but You got to start somewhere. So like you said, I think that's the biggest thing is that we all set ourselves up for the expectation of the finished product instead of just what we're doing, you know.
Yeah, being present in the moment of creation really helps you to transmute any kind of energies that you're feeling, emotions that you're feeling, words that you can't express. And that's why I say just shut your brain off and just let it come out and let it flow, because it'll happen. And if you kind of lead with no expectations, in the end, I guarantee that you will feel 100% better than what you did when you started.
I agree. So when you do your art, like, is there, a certain, like, how do you set up for your day? Do you just go do it? Do you listen to music?
Well, I'm a morning person, so a lot of times I wake up at like 3 o'clock in the morning and I can't sleep. And I'll either be like upset because of a dream I had, or I mean, like, I could just be any kind of mood. But about 4 or 5 o'clock after I woke up, I usually go into my studio, and that's when it's quiet through my whole house, and I just paint. Um, my studio is a mess. I have spritzer bottles full of like thinned out paint. I have markers. I have everything, and it's all over my table. I'm pretty bad about not cleaning my space, but having it all out gives me like access to like just explore each thing, as it comes in.
Yeah, I get that completely. You don't have to think about what you're going to use next if it's all just right there in front of you. You can get the creativity, you know what I mean? It's just like, ooh, let me see that. That's a good idea. So I might try that myself. So where can people find and purchase your amazing, talented work?
Okay, I have a website on Etsy. It is etsy.com/shop/creative mind and soul. So it's like not the and sign, it's just the letter N. But I have an Etsy. Um, People can find my work at a couple of places here in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I'm in a few different shops, Keisha's Journeys and the Healing Hands Day Spa. And then I do vending events in the state of Indiana throughout the summer months. So.
Ooh, that sounds exciting. We'll
It is
definitely.
pretty.
Sorry. We'll definitely have to add the link to where they can connect with you. And I definitely encourage anyone who wants to bring a smile to somebody's day to get some postcards of positivity from Crimson. Because they definitely brightened my day. I've got the stickers and the postcards where I can see them, and very artistic. You have anything else that you would like to say to our listeners?
Yeah. So as far as the postcards for positivity goes, anybody who wants a positive message on an art card with some stickers, feel free to message me on Facebook, on Instagram, any way that you can get a hold of me. Send me a message with your address. I know a lot of people don't feel comfortable, so like if you have a post office box, or even the name of somebody that needs a positive message, send me their name and address, and I will send them. No charge to them. There's never any charge for my postcards, and I send them out a little package.
you heard that, everybody. So, holidays are coming up, and it would be a really nice thing to be able to share with those that you care about. Let them know that, they matter and light up their day. And also, if you just want some for yourself as well, they definitely light up my room. So, so you live in Indiana?
Yes, in Fort Wayne. We've lived here this time around for about, I would say, 10, 15 years now. My husband was in the military before, so we traveled around, and I've lived in a few different states. But there's no place like home.
I completely agree. Alrighty. Well, it has definitely been a pleasure and an honor. I want to thank everyone for taking the time to listen today, and definitely check out Miss Crimson Rose and share her stuff with everyone. And I hope everyone has a fantastic day. Before I go any